Recognizing that education is not only a basic human right, but also fundamental for development and growth, countries around the world, compared to 2 decades ago, are spending more and more on education. And as a result, today, globally, more kids are in school and the quality of education is improving. But as you all know, when a disaster strikes, all of those achievements could be wiped away in a matter of hours or just seconds. Now, governments and development partners are recognizing this risk, and they're increasingly taking action. And one area where we're seeing progress is emergency planning at the school level. But when it comes to school construction, we actually don't see the same level of progress. When we talk about new construction, often quantity is favored over quality, which creates incentives for unsafe building practices. When it comes to existing schools, governments that have reached their target school enrollment rates are now exploring how they can make them safer. But with few exceptions, most efforts have not gone beyond the pilot stage. So the question is, what's missing? Why can countries make 15 or 300 schools safe, but they cannot adopt an approach to make, say, 15,000 schools safe? Well, one reason is that the data and the tools required to achieve results at scale are not available. So in our session, we're going to be brainstorming about how we can overcome this problem. And we're going to try to answer 3 questions. 1, can big data help countries quantify the number of schools that are exposed? 2, can new technologies help us better understand the vulnerability of each exposed school? And 3, can innovation help us accelerate the implementation of risk reduction projects? So to get started, each country would have to understand where it stands today. And the first question that one would need to answer would be, how many of my schools are at risk? Now, a lot of governments can't answer that question because they don't have geo-referenced inventories of their schools. But because the government doesn't have that data, doesn't mean that that data doesn't exist. In fact, there's a lot of information about school locations, but the problem is it's scattered across social media networks and platforms, other platforms. And when it comes to social media, if you want to find school locations, you would have to review billions of social media activities, tweets, pictures, videos, check-ins from across the world in hundreds of languages. An impossible task to do manually. So during our session, we're going to give you a sneak peek in an ongoing effort to use data mining to build a global school exposure database. We're going to be talking about how we're using automated mining, web scraping, automated geocoding to find the information that governments don't have and really need. So what about vulnerability? We're going to be talking about the case of Nepal, where before the earthquake, the World Bank and local universities and startups worked together on finding vulnerability data for 3,000 schools. And they put this on OpenStreetMap. And then the earthquake happened, and another 6,000 schools outside the Kathmandu Valley were affected. So during our session, we're going to talk a bit about how one can conduct a detailed structural integrity and damage assessment at a large scale, with hundreds of engineers enabled by innovation and data collection and analysis. But we're not only going to be talking about how this survey was designed and implemented, we're going to be talking about how we're developing an algorithm to very quickly analyze the enormous amount of data that comes out of a survey, and how one can develop an infrastructure investment plan. Finally, we're going to be talking about how risk assessment can inform risk reduction programs, and we're going to be talking about 2 cases. We're going to be talking about Peru and Turkey. Turkey, a country that has already successfully implemented a risk reduction program in Istanbul, is now exploring how to do this across the country for thousands of schools. And Peru, which based on the findings of a risk assessment, has committed to invest about $3 billion for risk reduction in the education sector. But of course, the story does not really end with risk analytics. Think about this. In the last 10 years, Peru retrofitted 300 schools, and now it's going to do 10,000. Turkey estimates that probably about 24,000 school buildings are vulnerable. In the last 10 years, they've done about 222 per year. So we need to start thinking how innovation can help us accelerate and scale up these efforts. So this is what we're going to be talking about during our session on Friday at 11 o'clock. We will have the government of Turkey, Arab International Development, Courage Services, Andes University, and the World Bank. And we will be very excited if you join our session. Thank you.